Hi everyone. Okay, hi everyone. I think people are still joining. So can you just share the experience of cat by the way? So we'll talk about a snap in some time, but can you just share the experience of cat? Yes, anyone? Yes, anybody? I'm waiting for the responses. Sure. What we'll do just we'll wait for a couple of minutes, let people join, then we'll start this session. Okay. So this is I think I hope all of you have those who are attending the sessions, you have filled the form for the snap and you have downloaded your hall ticket properly. So make sure that your venue, the exact location of the venue so that on the Sunday you'll not have any issues. Not Sunday, the first snap is on Saturday. So Saturday will not have any issues on that part. Fine. Okay. So let's begin with the session now. So what we'll do, uh, I just have a one session flow. So at the end, I'll have open for the question answer part also. So what we'll quickly do, we'll cover the important dates. Most of you know those dates. We'll just discuss institute under snap. When I'm discussing institute under snap, I'll discuss their cutoffs also. Okay. So we'll see the last year snap breakup also. We'll do the last what is the snap syllabus. So that when you're going for the exam day after tomorrow, you know that okay, have I covered all these things? Okay. What I'll do, I'll discuss few QA question types. Okay, you'll see, okay, these kind of questions are also have appeared in Snap. So should you attempt them? Should you leave them? We'll discuss that part. Fine. And end of the day, I'll discuss that is the last day. That is a Friday plan. One day before Snap, what you should do. There's a last day plan. What we're going to discuss part. Fine. So as we know that when we are doing this session, I'm sure all of you have filled the snap form because your last date of filling the snap form was 20th November and that is over now. So now even if you decide to give snap, you cannot give. Okay. Also, please understand you for snap test one, your hall ticket is live. Okay. For snap test one, your hall ticket is live. For snap test two, your hall ticket will be available on 8th of December. For snap test three, your hall ticket will be available on 15th of December. Fine. And all of you or most of you must be ready for that December 6th plan. Okay, so I'm assuming all of you are giving the snap on the 6th December. But whatever things we're going to discuss today will help you for the second and third test 2 also, test 3 also. Fine. And as declared by the snap, the result will be declared on the 9th of January. Okay. So let me go ahead with that part. Now, I've just mentioned that this is a list of the colleges which are accepting the snap score. Now, basically, please understand, Symbiosis is a university. It is conducting a SNAP exam for admission in their own colleges. Okay, so a lot of these colleges are in Pune. Almost 10 colleges are in Pune. Though you can see there are more than 10 colleges for that accepting the SNAP score. What I've done, I've done the ranking of those colleges. So when you go to our timeforeducation website or in Google, you just type time B school categorization. You click on that time B school categorization. You get a list of the colleges. You get a ranking of the colleges. So we are categorized the college like top 10 colleges, triple A plus colleges. Okay, then triple A colleges, double A colleges, and so on. So you can see under that ranking, your SIBM Pune will come under the triple A plus ranking. Even SCMHRD will come under the triple A plus ranking. So triple A plus ranking means the ranking is 11 to 20. So basically these colleges come under the top 20 colleges in India. So obviously I must consider them. But as soon as I go down, the SIBM Bangalore ranking is A category. SIB Pune's ranking is A category. Fine. So these are the top general, these are the four colleges that everybody uh, looking for. So there are other colleges also, but many of them offer the sectoral MBA. So only if you're interested in that particular field, then only you can apply for that. Okay, so for example, SIMS is Symbols instead of Operation Management. Okay, then this is what? Digital and Telecom Management. Then this is Center for Information Technology, and so on. So there are many such colleges are there. You can go through this list. But generally, people consider these top four colleges. Now, obviously, as everybody is looking for these top four colleges, the cutoffs required are also higher in that part. So if you're looking for the top four colleges, then your snap score has to be really good. So if you get a lower score, then you can consider the lower grade colleges. Now, what I have to understand first of all, snap registration is different, okay, and your institute registration is different. So for example, right now you have filled the snap form. If you're interested in the college SIBM Pune, then for SIBM Pune, for each program you have to fill a separate form, and you have to pay separately for it also. Okay. Now what I need to understand, that every college for every program has a different last date of application. So for example, SIBM Pune has a last date of application 5th December. So that means what? Even before giving your SNAP exam, you need to fill the SIBM Pune form. So you don't know what you need to, what you're going to score. Okay. But still, if you're interested in this college, I need to fill the form on 5th December. So what I generally suggest, you first think about the colleges which you're interested in, whichever programs you're interested in, and go to their website and just check there is when there is a last date of application. Suppose you are going to give the first attempt on 6th of December. Okay, and last date of application for that particular college is 22nd December. So better you give apply to that college after your snap exam is over, because after your snap exam is over, you'll have an idea how much you're going to score. Okay, and will at that score, will I get that particular college or not? Fine. So that will give the better idea whether to apply for that college or not to apply for that college. Now, if I'm not wrong, except SIBM Pune, all the other colleges have last date of application after your 6th December. So you can consider them. So again, you go to the website of each of those colleges which are interested, see the last date of application, then only take the decision. That is my suggestion. Fine. Now, if I look for the uh, these are the further colleges in that snap list. See, look at the snap 2025 structure. Now this is for me for last few years, the structure is same. There is no change in the structure part. So you, as you're going to appear for this exam, I'm sure at this stage many of you have taken more mocks also, so you're aware of the structure. So let's go in detail. This is a structure. I'll give the breakup also, last year breakup also, what was the types of questions asked in each section. So that will give the brief idea that which type of questions are asked. Based on that, I'm going to give you a syllabus also, because we have gone through, we have taken the student feedback for which type of questions were asked last year. Based on that, we have designed a syllabus. So you make sure that you have done everything in that syllabus, so that you will not have any problem in the actual exam. So you look at your general English will include RC, verbal reasoning, and verbal ability. There are 15 questions in it, and 1 mark for each correct answer. So total 15 marks. So for every question, correct answer is only 1 mark. Look at analytical and logical reasoning. You can see there are 25 questions. And cont, DI, and data sufficiency, you can see there are 20 questions. No issues in this part. Fine. Now each question carries 1 mark. So basically 16 to 1. Total it is 60 marks. However, for each wrong answer, there is a 25% negative marking. Means 1/4 negative, or you can say 0.25 negative for every wrong answer you have. Right? So that is the structure you have. Now I give you the in detail breakup. But before that, can I see the cutoffs? Now, please understand, when snap is, first of all, we do not have any snap is not declaring the official data what is the exact cutoff. So based on the data what we have of what percentile students got a call, this is a range of percentile scores at which you can get a SIBM symbiosis colleges cutoff. For example, SIBM Pune, approximately 98.5 percentile. It can go below that also. SCMHRD Pune, the cutoff is around 96 to 98 percentile. SIB Pune, 92 to 94 percentile. SIBM Bangalore will be 89 to 92 percentile. SIM Nasik is 85 to 87 percentile. SITM Pune is 81 to 84 percentile, and so on. Okay, so like that, I have mentioned the cutoff. So you can see as you go down the order, your cutoff can be as low as 55 percentile also. Okay, so even at a low score, you will get a particular college of symbiosis, but you need to take a call. Do I need to go so low? Because I've given you the college ranking at the start, so you'll have an idea where that college stands all India level. So you need to decide, okay, whether I want admission in that particular college or not. Okay, I don't want to come in, okay, this is a good college, this is a bad college. It all depends upon how much marks you score. Based on that, you can decide which college you are supposed to get the admission. So that's why I say, once your CAT result is out, not CAT, sorry, SNAP result is out, or SNAP, once you appear for the SNAP, not SNAP is out, once you appear for the SNAP, you'll have a rough idea about the score, what you get. So if I consider the last year SNAP, okay, since 98.5 percentile will be approximately, not exactly, approximately 40 to 42 marks. This 98.5% will be approximately 40 to 42 marks if I consider last year difficulty level. Now from the CAT paper, those who appeared for CAT, it is now very much clear that if the paper is difficult, the cutoff in the terms of marks will go down, right? So if the SNAP paper becomes difficult, then your cutoff for that particular exam will go down. So based on last year difficulty level, 98.5% are approximately 40-42 marks. So that should be your target if you're looking for the top college. Fine. Okay. Now look at this general English. If I look at, it should actually include RC part also. But if you look at the last year paper pattern, there were no RC questions involved. So lot of weightage, almost half the weightage is for the grammar part. So grammar is 7 questions. Fill in the blanks, 4 questions. Vocab based questions, 2 questions. Parajumble, just 1 question. And question based on idioms and proverbs, that is just 1 question. Now, is this breakup was same for all the slots? No, because on every day the exam is conducted. So basically snap test is 1, 2, 3. It is happening on 3 days, but on every day it is conducted in 2 slots. Okay, so basically this is breakup of one of these slots to just give the basic idea. Fine, but it is observed in the other slots also, the RC was not asked. So I don't want to comment that, okay, RC won't be asked at all. Okay, RC is a part of English, so it may be asked also. So you be ready for that. But if I consider the last year paper pattern, you'll realize, okay, this is a breakup of it. So when you're preparing the areas, these are the areas you need to prepare first, because we know these are the areas appeared last year. Fine. So considering that, look at the types of question, you'll realize that English part, the speed can be high if you're good at that part, because the it's not you think for a lot of time, then you'll get the answer. So most of the cases, you know the answer, you don't know the answer, or you apply some logic to guess the answer. So you won't take more time to attempt the English section. So the strategy could be, you can start with the English section because that won't take more time to answer those questions. Or it could be reverse way. Okay, I can answer this section very quickly. So 15 questions are there, may not take 15 minutes. I might them answer them in 10 minutes. So let me keep it at the end also. So either way you can think. You can start with this section or you can end with this section also, depending upon what strategy you are following right now to solve the paper. Fine. Now, analytic and logical reasoning section. Now look at, this has the highest number of questions. In fact, earlier there was a differential marking. So a few years back, the SNAP used to have a differential marking. For logic questions, they used to give 2 marks. For other areas question, they used to give 1 mark. So now that differential marking is not there. But you can understand how much important is logical part for that SNAP exam. So can you see the areas on which the questions are asked? Assumptions, course of action, cause and effect, speculation, clocks, calendars, blood relations, letter series, linear arrangement, just one question, circular arrangement, just one question, syllogism, you can say deductions also, two questions, coding, decoding, just one question, and miscellaneous, just one question. Fine. So if I look at that, if I've prepared for let's say areas like analytical puzzle, like linear arrangement, circular arrangement, okay, or let's say binary logic, comparison, distribution, what we have generally seen, we have seen a question, not an individual question. We usually say, okay, we solve that entire linear arrangement set and we try to answer 3 to 4 questions based on that set. But in Snap, you'll find almost a similar amount of information is given, but just one question is asked. Okay, so when you're attempting a logical reasoning section, what you have to keep in mind that though I may able to solve that question, because linear arrangement, circular arrangement may not take more time to solve, but here the question difficult is not I'm not getting the answer, that's why question is difficult. In logic, the question which is going to consume more time is going to be a difficult question. So it is taking more time to solve, probably I'll skip that question. Fine. And that is how you to look for these questions. Fine. So based on whatever types of questions has been asked in Snap, I have just designed a syllabus of Snap that can help you to just checklist at this last minute that have I covered these areas or not. It's not like a topic which is not mentioned here is not a part of syllabus. No, there are certain areas where the questions are not on in this particular slot, but they are, the question has been asked in some other slots also. So what is my logical reasoning syllabus? Look at here. So first is analytical puzzles, linear arrangement, circular arrangement, comparison, distribution, binary logic. Now, binary logic is a specialty of Snap. You'll definitely more, I'll say most probably you'll get a questions on binary logic in Snap. Compared to linear arrangement and circular arrangement, I will say the binary logic questions are doable because the amount of information given in those binary logic questions were less. Fine. So this is the analytical puzzles part. What is the other areas asked in logical reasoning? That is question based on verbal reasoning. So question based on conclusions, assumptions, course of actions, cause and effect, and questions based on argument. So that is the syllabus. So in some slot, the questions are asked only particular area, but it's a complete syllabus you need to do. So at this stage, if your first attempt is scheduled on 6th of December, please make sure that you have covered all these areas. Let me go for the next attempt. Okay, I'll answer the question. Some people have asked the query. I'll answer the queries at the end. Fine. Now look at a logical reasoning, blood relations, direction sense, symbols and notations, coding and decoding, number and letter series, analogy and odd and out, deduction. Now here deductions means what? All A's are B, some A's are B kind of questions. Clocks is an important area. See, sometimes the clocks questions are asked in quant area also. Sometimes the clocks questions are asked in your logic area also. Same logic is for the calendar also. Sometimes the questions asked in logic area, sometimes the questions are asked in quant area also. Venn diagram, cubes and dice are not so important, okay, but that is a part of the syllabus, and miscellaneous types of question. Fine. So if you're a time student, then you got a two in the first set, you got a two books of reasoning. So in one part, you'll find a analytical puzzle kind of question, linear arrangement, circular arrangement, and kind of this. And the second book, where you find a questions like this, blood relation, direction sense, symbols and notations. So you can solve that entire area. Now here in that book, there are other two topics also, input, output, and decision making. So at this stage, if you haven't done input, output, decision making, don't touch that because in Snap, those areas are not asked. But if you take an exam like a NMAT, then you're going to definitely get a question based on input and output. Fine. So it's a complete syllabus I've given you. So just make sure that you're doing all these topics, at least solve 50 questions of each area so that any type of question come in exam, you should be able to handle that part. Now here, I just give one observation last year in one of the slots. In blood relation questions, generally what we say, I say, if I say Amar is child of, if I say Amar is child of Chandan, Amar is child of Chandan. So by name, we know that Amar is a male person, Chandan is a male person. So you can say Amar is a son of Chandan. But in last year, one of the slot, we realized that though the name given is Amar, when we solve the complete sentence, Amar is not a male person. Amar is a female person. Okay. So I'll say, if you're solving a logical reasoning blood relation question, don't assume the gender unless there is no choice to, for example, without assuming, you can't find the answer. But last year, one of the set was like that. Okay, if you assume the gender, you would have gone that wrong. Okay, so based on the name, don't assume the gender, particularly in the blood relation questions. Fine. So this is a complete syllabus of your logical reasoning part. Now look at the data for your SNAP exam for con section. 20 questions in con. I want to highlight two areas. One, geometry and mensuration. Can you see 4 questions? Another area, permutation, combinations, and probability, 4 questions. So if you look at, almost 40% of the area is with these just 2 topics. Okay, geometry, mensuration, permutation, combination, probability. 40% of the area is covered by these 2 topics. Fine. Then you can see the arithmetic. Look at, almost every area you'll find 1 question. Look at profit and loss, 1 question. There was a questions on stocks and shares also, 1 question. Time and work, 1 question. Time and distance, 1 question. Ratios, 2 questions. Cubic equation, 1 question. Percentages, 1 question. Progression, 1 question. Numbers, 2 questions. And logarithm, just 1 question. Okay, so my observation is, you look at almost every slot, more or less you find the same breakup. So geometry mensuration will have a considerable breakup. PNC probability will have a considerable breakup. And PNC probability was important from NMAT point of view also. So at this stage, if you haven't touched permutation, combination, probability, suppose you're doing a first attempt, so probably within a 1 day it is difficult to cover PNC and probability within 1 day. But suppose you're not giving the snap on 6th of December, but you're giving the next week, then you have a time. If you haven't prepared PNC and probability, I will suggest you please prepare that part, because the questions are not so difficult, but the weightage is high. Considering out of 20 questions, just 4 questions of PNC probability, the weightage is quite high. So you can definitely consider doing these questions. Fine. Let me go ahead. So based on all the slots, when we interacted with the student, what kind of questions were asked, we have prepared a syllabus for the quantitative skills also. What is that? Now look at, though the section is QA, DI, DS, I will find most of the sets DI maybe 1 question max. So in this slot, there was no DI question. But in any slot, if the DI question comes, it is not a set. One DI set and 3 questions will be asked. It will be just 1 question will be asked, and it will be a very straightforward or more calculation part. That's it. DS is a part of most of the slots, but in the terms of con only. So DS will not find in the logic part mostly. Mostly will find in the con part only. So DS, one of these topics could be a DS question also, data sufficiency question also. So for data sufficiency question, it's a format. It's not a type of question. Okay, it's just a format. So even if you solve some topics data sufficiency question, it will be sufficient to answer in the actual exam. Okay. Now, what is the syllabus for con? Okay. Now just look at, the syllabus is still vast. If I look at all the slots, you'll find, okay, there has been questions on simple equations, ratio proportion variation, percentage profit and loss. Okay. Uh, then stocks and shares. Look at, there was a question last year on stocks and shares. I'll show you that question. So as a basics, if you haven't done stocks and shares, I will suggest you please do the stocks and shares. It's a small concept. If you read the theory for half an hour, you'll understand the stocks and shares concept. Then what? Simple interest, compound interest, averages, mixtures, allegation, time and work, time and distance. Right? So this is a complete arithmetic syllabus. See, If you have studied numbers for CAT, it's a very vast area. But when I talk about numbers for SNAP exam, I haven't seen or I haven't seen the question based on remainder concept or factors related question. I don't want to say, okay, they won't appear in the exam because there's no official syllabus by SNAP. However, based on whatever different slots question has been asked, I say this is the broader syllabus you can have. Classification of numbers, prime and composite numbers, divisibility rules, LCM and HCF very important. LCM and HCF very important as far as the SNAP is concerned. So what is HCF? What is LCM? Applications of HCF LCM, lot of questions are asked. Application of HCF LCM means what? Okay, there's a rectangular floor. I have to cover with square tiles. What is the maximum number of tiles? What is the minimum number of tiles required? Okay, or there are, let's say there are three types of articles are there, article A, B, C. Okay, and their quantities given. I want to pack them into boxes. Each box should have the articles of the same type, and each box should have an equal number of articles. What is the minimum number of boxes required? Okay, or five bells ring at an interval of so and so seconds. When all the bells will ring together. Okay, that kind of question has been asked very frequently. So LCM HCF is a favorite choice of SNAP. So that's why I mentioned the applications of HCF LCM also. Even the in HCF LCM we have done different types of questions further. Common remainder, common difference between divisor and remainder. Okay, so those types of questions has been also asked in what I'm saying in SNAP. So as a LCM HCF important topic, I'll suggest you please do it if you haven't done it, and if your exam is not on 6th December, if it is on what I'm saying next week. Geometry mensuration, we'll discuss 4 questions, very important area. Clocks is also part of syllabus. The questions will be just one question, but a very standard kind of question. So if you have solved our handout, we have covered that kind of questions in clocks in our handout also. If you're a time student, we have covered that in our handout also. So clocks, not very out of the box questions are asked, very typical kind of questions are asked. So if you know the basics, you can easily handle the clocks questions. Fine. Okay. Now here, what is the algebra syllabus? Quadratic, I mentioned cubic equations, but in one of the slot, one question on cubic equation was asked. So I'll discuss that question with you. That is not a very big question, but you need to know that higher degree concepts. Inequalities and modulus, not very high level as CAT, but what is your basic linear inequalities, quadratic inequalities, and I'll say what I should know in inequalities: linear, quadratic, and mod. These part you need to do in inequalities. Fine. Progressions and series, important part. Now, so if you look at progression series, they have the question based on series. They have the question. They ask the question based on series. They ask the questions on geometric progression. Infinite GP also questions has been asked. So it's an important area. Indices certs. Okay, questions not so frequently in every slot. Logarithm, you'll find only one question, almost every slot, but you'll find one question on that. I have seen the questions on heights and distances also. Now look at heights and distances question. You can actually solve using the trigonometry, or you can solve using the properties of 30, 60, 90 triangle properties also you can solve. So I'll suggest you just do the heights and distance question. I'll show you one sample question. Trigo question, look at, this is not the time to draw trigonometry, but looking at the syllabus, they're asking the questions. So I will suggest at this stage, you can't do trigo fully. If you're done at school level, at college level, then probably you can little bit brush up those identities or basics of trigo. But this is not the time to start a fresh trigo part. Fine. Permutation combinations important. Probability important. Fine. So I've just highlighted which are the important areas where you'll find the questions. So make sure that you have done this before the exam. Fine. Let me go ahead. Okay. I just give the rough idea of the, okay. I just give the rough idea of the questions asked in Quant. Fine. Just understand. Look at here. Look at this question. If two roots of the equation so and so are in the ratio 2 is to 3, find all the roots of the equation. Now, please understand, if I want to solve this question properly, conceptually, then I need to know the concept of sum of the roots 1 at a time, sum of the roots 2 at a time, sum of the roots 3 at a time. Okay. But if you take the help of the options, what is the ratio? Just 2 is to 3. So which options ratio of the two roots is 2 is to 3? Look at here. No root is a multiple of 3 in the first option. Second option, look at 6 and 4. They have a ratio 2 is to 3. Third option, there is no ratio 2 is to 3. And fourth option, there is no ratio 2 is to 3. So your answer has to be the option B, without knowing any concept of that cubic equation part. Fine. So with the help of just options, I could have answered the question. So as a question, without options is a very difficult to solve question. Or even if one more options are with the ratio 2 is to 3, then further concept is required. So this is the only question where you find, okay, cubic equation question has been asked. So I'm just giving a rough idea what kind of questions you'll find, different questions. Look at how many diagonals are there in a polygon having 14 edges. So this is a question based on, basically you can include this question in geometry also. You can include this question in permutation combination also. So if I know the number of diagonals formula, the formula is n minus 3 upon 2. So if I just put n as 14, 14 into 14 minus 3 upon 2, 2 sevens are. So it is 7 into 11. Number of diagonals are 77. Okay. So if you have studied permutation combinations, you must have done this question. So just a formula based application. If I know the formula, less than 20 seconds, I'll get the answer. Fine. So I'm just giving a slightly variety of questions, a different kind of question apart from your regular types of questions in Snap. Look at, these are question based on what I'm saying. Stocks and shares. Amit invests 34,500 in 5% stock, quoted 15% premium. What is the annual income from the investment? Now, please understand, if you know the concepts of stocks and shares, okay, then it is a very, very easy question. Then you'll say, okay, it is quoting a 15% premium. So if I assume the face value at 100, okay, your investment value will be at, let's say, 115. It is quoted at 15% premium. So you quoted at 115, you bought at 115, and income on that is 5. But your investment is 34,500. So 115 is equal to 34,500. 5 is question mark. Can you just do a cross multiplication? I'll get the answer. That is 34,500 into 5 upon 115. 115 3s are 345. 300 into 5, 1500. That's it. You're getting my point. So answer is the B option. But if I don't understand what is that face value, how that value become 15% premium is 115. Had it been 15% discount, what would have been your investment value, investment price? Then you can't solve this question. But if I know the concept, okay, then probably what I'm saying, within a few seconds, I can get the answer. So I'm just saying, okay, knowing that the question has been asked last year, can you revise? Half an hour it will take for you. So if any question comes from this area again, you'll be able to answer. Look at these kind of questions are asked. X plus 1 upon x is equal to minus 2. Okay. Find the value of x raised to 1000 minus 1 upon x raised to 1000. Okay. Now look at, primarily I can see the question will be very difficult. X plus 1 upon x is minus 2. But see, if you solve this as a quadratic equation, you'll get the answer easily. Suppose if I multiply every term by x, what I'll get? X square plus 1 minus 2x. Minus 2x, if you take it on this side, is x square plus 2x plus 1 equal to 0. This is basically x plus 1 the whole square. So I'll get x plus 1 is equal to 0. That will give me what? X is equal to minus 1. So what is the value of this expression? Minus 1 raised to 1000. 1 upon minus 1 raised to 1000. Now minus 1 raised to 1000 will be 1. 1 upon 1, answer will be 0. Okay, so it looks like a very difficult question, but again, less than a minute, you can solve this question. If you understand, this is a quadratic equation. After solving that quadratic equation, I'll definitely get the value of x. I have to just substitute a value of x in that expression I want. Okay, so here I'm just listing slightly different kind of question, not a regular kind of question. So there are normal regular questions on ratio, proportion, profit and loss. They are definitely there. I'm just listing a different kind of questions from different areas. Okay, let me go ahead. Look at this question. I'm not going to solve this question, but it's a question based on heights and distances. Ram and Sham are 10 km apart. Both see a hot air balloon passing in the sky, making an angle of 60° and 30° respectively. Okay. What is the height at which the balloon could be flying? You're getting my point? Now, this is a question of heights and distances. So these if you whatever books you have, you just search for heights and distances question, you can solve. Now you can solve this question by using some tan 30, tan 60 values also, that is trigonometry. Or if you know the basics of 30, 60, 90 triangle, without using trig also, I can solve this question. So I'm not going to get a solution of this. I'm just showing these kind of questions were asked last year. So better you prepared for that. Okay. Look at, now I'm just showing, look at, probably this kind of question, if you can answer in actual exam, because your exam is a speed-based exam, you have 60 minutes, 60 questions. So speed-based exam, you don't have much time in that. But this is actually a CAT 2023 question. This is actually a CAT 2023 question. So I'm just trying to show that they have copied some questions from CAT also. So those who are CAT students, if you have solved the past CAT papers, you might get one familiar question. If you have solved earlier, you can easily handle that. So if this question, if you have solved earlier, probably take a less time to solve in the actual exam. Otherwise, I will not suggest, if you are not CAT student or you have never solved this question earlier, I'll say you skip this question, because you might go wrong or will take more time for solving the question, because difficulty level is higher than your average level of difficulty here. Okay. Look at, this is a trigonometry question. Cos 0, cos 1, cos 2, cos 3, cos 4 till cos 140. I have to multiply them. Now, please understand here, this is actually not a maths-based question. So that's what I said. Okay, I have mentioned that they have asked the question based on trigonometry, but this is not the time to prepare the basics of trigonometry. But those who have done at college level, at school level, you know that if you know cos 90° is 0. If you know your cos 90° is 0, you're getting my point? Your cos 90° 0. If cos 90° 0, in this part, can I say one of the value will be 0? In this portion, one of the value will be 0. So your entire product will be 0, because one of the value in this list is cos 90. And that value is 0. 0 into anything will give me answer 0. Is that part is very, very clear? So if I know that basic things, it will not take even 10 seconds to solve this question. But if you don't know cos 90 is 0, then you can't solve this question. So better to skip in that question case. Fine. Now look at, if the centroid of a triangle is formed by the points. Now look at, in my syllabus, I haven't mentioned coordinate geometry, but this is a coordinate geometry question. Okay. So in that coordinate geometry also, they're talking about a centroid. In that also, they're talking about a cos A, sin A kind of questions. So definitely it's not a, see, its solution is not so lengthy or difficult. But do you know what is a centroid formula in coordinate geometry? Do you know some basics of sine, cos, tan? Because question asks is tan A. So what is tan value? It is sine upon cos. Then you could have easily solved this question. Fine. Otherwise, it's a difficult question. So these kind of question where the areas you're not prepared well will act like a speed breaker. So my suggestion is, please skip them and move to the next question, because there'll be definitely enough easy questions in the entire paper. It will be waiting for you. Okay. Now look at this question. Okay, so see, these are the particularly select. These questions are not asked in one slot. These task questions are asked in all over the slots. I just picked up. I'm just trying to show in your slot you'll find one or two questions, so called as out of syllabus question. Means out of syllabus in the sense you haven't prepared for that topics. For example, two finite sets have m and n elements. Number of elements in the power set. What is a power set? You should know what is a power set. How will you find a number of elements in power set? To understand number of elements in a power set, I need to understand what is a subset, how to find the number of subsets. So if you know that concept, then it's easy. If I know this concept, within less than a minute, I'll answer the question. In fact, I'm not giving you the options. With the options available, I can answer it faster. But if I don't know only what is a power set, I can't answer the question. So don't think too much in that case. You can leave that question. Those who exam is 1 week away, okay, your exam is on the 14th of December, okay, and you have a time, then probably you can, as I've shown, okay, this was a question asked last year, let me understand what is a power set, how will know what is the number of elements in that, what is number of subsets. Then you realize, okay, so easy concept, I have to just understand the concept, then I can get the answer. Is that okay? No issues? Fine. Now, before going for the last day plan, just understand one thing, that I have just discussed a lot of things. Okay. So as I said, this is a last minute tips for the snap. That is the reason I just give a sample example, the complete syllabus, to just make sure that, okay, I have just tick mark the things. These are the things I have done or not. Now, please understand, at this stage, if your exam is on immediately day after tomorrow, then you do not have a much time for a preparation part. So my suggestion is that whatever part you have done, you stick to that part. A good score could be a 40 plus is a good score. Okay. So if I want to get a 40 plus, the kind of questions asked in Snap, most likely your accuracy is going to be very good. So you need to understand, okay, I have to attempt around 45 questions approximately if I'm looking for the 40 plus scores for the top colleges. Now, can you pre-decide the breakup of these 45 questions? Okay, from the VA section, suppose I'll attempt all questions. Okay, from reasoning part, let's say I'll attempt, let's say 15 questions, or QA part, I'll attempt 15 questions. Somebody say, okay, my reasoning is much stronger than QA. Okay, I'll attempt more question reasoning, but I can't say, I'll say 17, 18 question reasoning and probably 12, 13 questions in QA. Or you're given enough number of mock papers, you'll have an idea what is your number of attempts right now. Okay, so if I need to improve those number of attempts, what should I do? So my suggestion is that in this, whatever period is left, if your exam is just day after tomorrow, do not start anything new. Just revise your basics. Okay, analyze your previous mock papers, whichever you are given, and just decide your strategy, that which is the area first I'm going to attempt, second I'm going to attempt, third I'm going to attempt. There is no sectional time limit. There is no sectional cutoff in Snap also. So if somebody says, okay, I'll attempt all 30, all questions in QA, all 20 questions in QA, all 25 questions in reasoning, and I'll get all 100% accuracy, still it's okay if you don't attempt the VA part. Fine, because there is no sectional time limit. So you can use the entire time for one section also. But my understanding is, if you attempt the entire QA section, or if you attempt the entire reasoning section, okay, you will not have a sufficient time to get those required number of attempts. So from all the areas, you need to attempt a certain number of questions. So strategy is simple. Your difficult question could be probably the question which has a lengthy solution. Okay, if you realize, okay, it is going to cost me more than a minute for this solution, better skip that question. Okay, the questions from the areas which are unfamiliar to you, like I said, okay, centroid of a triangle, cos 0 into cos 1, okay, kind of question, or heights and distances, let's say I haven't done only, better you skip those questions. Okay, and attempt the remaining questions so that you will be saving your time by just trying them question and wasting your time. Okay, no issues in this part. So decide the order of the section, decide the number of questions. It should be a balance of all the questions from all the areas. Then only you will get a more number of attempts. Okay, because somebody decide, okay, I'll not attempt QA at all. Okay, I'll attempt QA only arithmetic. That is not a good strategy because your choices of question will be lesser than in that case. Fine. So PNC probability, if you have a week's time, please do PNC probability. I'll suggest it's not a very big, high difficulty questions are asked. The level of difficulty is much lower than the CAT. Okay, so they are manageable part. So for the last part, as I said, revise basics, revise your important formulae, analyze past mocks. Based on that, finalize your strategy. On the last day, I generally don't suggest taking mocks because if your score goes low, you'll get demoralized. But in case you say, okay, I want to take some mocks, maximum you can take 2 mocks on that last day. There, don't even try to find a score also. It is just a practice purpose you take, for a time management purpose you take the test. Don't you find a score also. Okay, don't try to predict the cutoff. Okay, sir said 40 plus is a good score. If the paper is easy, cutoff may go up. If the paper is difficult, cutoff may come down to 35 also. Okay, also these are just scores in the marks are just a gauge scores. I really don't know. Okay, will it be at 35? Will it give you 98 percentile, or at 42 will it give you 98 percentile? Because Snap has not officially released that part, so you don't know at what marks in which slot will be what percentile. This is just a guesswork by our experience. We are doing it. So you do not worry too much about the cutoffs part. Cutoff is a overall cutoff, fine, and that will depend upon the difficulty level of the paper. Fine. So that is the thing I want to explain you from my side. Okay, now if you have any doubts, queries, I'll handle that part. Okay, somebody saying, so from which side we have to fill the application. Now please understand, you log into your using your Snap ID. In that only you can apply for the programs. But what is the last date of each program? So for example, you want to say, okay, SIBM Bangalore, what is the last date of application? You go to the SIBM Bangalore website, see the program part or the admission part, and check for the last date of application. If that last date of application is after your Snap attempt, fill the form after your Snap attempt. That is my suggestion. Fine. Otherwise, you can log into your Snap ID, and from there only you can just apply to any program. Fine. So LR2 book, it is okay if I'm skipping the exercise and only doing B exercise. A parts only have one type of question. You can do that part. Make sure that you know the basics of all the topics in that LR part. Well, there are a lot of topics, there are a lot of types of questions. So I know the types of question, it will be easier for me to handle the questions. Fine. On SHPV 2011, latest previous year paper, is it worth attempting a paper 2011? I will not suggest, because see, as I said, in 2000 earlier years, there used to be a differential marking also. So reasoning question was slightly difficult, having the more weightage. Reasoning question were different in nature also. Why they are available till 2011? Because till 2011, the officially Snap released the paper. So in recent years, Snap is not releasing the official paper. Okay, so these all are memory-based data, or from the students we got this data, right? So that I'll not suggest you attempt those old paper at this stage, but practice more mocks rather than the old paper. Practice more mocks now. So if there are 6 mock papers for you, you just solve 2 only. Okay, you can take 2 if you have a time tomorrow, or you have a week's time, then take a 2 or 3 mocks paper in that week's time. Fine. Yeah. Any more doubts? Yes. Any queries you have which I'll handle? Are no doubts? Fine. So if there are no doubts, then we'll end the session. So all the best for your Snap exam. Okay. So whatever part we have discussed, just go through that part one more time. in actual exam, if you have given a CAT exam, you have experienced that though the paper is difficult, there are certain types of question you can definitely attempt and you can get a better score. So in Snap also, if you find paper on a difficult side, then be choosy about the question, avoid the lengthy question, avoid the unfamiliar question. Whichever questions you're familiar, you're sure about the question, attempt only those questions. Go with a pre-planned strategy, because that will help you to attempt better and that will give you confidence of attempting also. Fine. So that's all from my side. Fine. Thank you. So I'll just end the session.